Hello, happy Father's Day, and welcome to the special bonus edition of the weekend party. We're doing this since Rachel and Rod and Raleigh were not able to join us last night. So, the first topic, just to recap, this is pretty much a carbon. It'll be pretty much a carbon copy of last night's show with a few differences. And the first topic that we discussed on last night's show with Mom, Elizabeth, Alex, Laura, and Dave, and Kaylee was also able to join us as well. I started last night's show by talking about the new graduation requirements that the state of New York Education Department is proposing. Now, again, these changes are not yet been implemented yet, but according to this news article that I've read, and just listening and watching to the local news, the New York State Education Department is thinking of getting rid of the regents as a requirement for high school graduation. Now, what that means is they'll implement a more holistic approach, a different way to, according to this New York Post, it'll be called a portrait of a graduate. So they're thinking of using a more holistic, more well-rounded approach to determining whether or not high school students are indeed ready to graduate. They will assess student success as critical thinkers, innovative problem solvers, literate across all content areas, culturally competent, socially, emotionally competent, effective communicators, and global citizens. The State Education Department will host a series of public forums to gather feedback on the proposed changes between July and October 24. You agree they should get rid of it? Yes, so this is what I've heard. New York State and one other state are the only ones that require. So with that statement saying, I think it's best that probably New York State align with the rest of the country. Now, we all graduated with Regents diplomas. That means, and I can remember this vividly, studying and prepping for those Regents exams. And I realized not every student learns in the same way. Not every student succeeds on a test. And I think this will allow for, if the State Education Department moves forward with this plan, I think this will allow for students to take, as I said on last night's show, will allow students to take their own individual approach, follow their own path, their own individualized path to success, which would obviously in this case mean the getting a diploma and graduating. And then I think it'll require less tests, obviously, but also a different path for an individualized path. And as I said on the other show, the show last night, if they adopt it, I'm sure the state education department is going to have to clearly communicate to districts exactly what the criteria is and the metrics for how students are actually supposed to achieve the new graduation requirements, because even though it's more they don't really have much more details, even though what the state is proposing is clearly more different than the graduation requirements currently in place, which also involves passing certain exams but having 22 credits across your high school career to graduate. It's going to be different, and I'd like to know exactly what or how the new graduation requirements will be communicated to the districts. It's going to affect Baldwinsville, obviously, here, and it's going to affect every school district in the state. So I'm very, very interested to see how this will all play out. I know you, Rachel, working in the school, you have some first-hand insight as to how these things work, and uh, whether or not we see students who are actually ready to graduate based on whether they can pass a certain number of tests or uh, get so many credits. And back, I realized times have changed and things have obviously school cultures have changed. The world today is changing with it. So, I'll be curious to know how things adapt and evolve. In the meantime, we're going to get back to the music. We're going to get back to the music now. You just heard AJR. You missed AJR. One AJR song. We're going to play another one. This one a little bit more recent. And I got the DJ is crying for help. And when we come back, we'll be We'll be playing a trivia game. Actually, we'll be watching some fireworks, and then we'll be playing a small trivia game. So get your thinking caps on. Speaking of taking quizzes and tests, all that and more coming up. And we're back. So this would be a perfect time to, if you missed the fireworks at Scenic River Days, we're going to show just a little snip of that. And again, you probably knew this by now. We didn't win the duck pluck for the 30th year in a row. So here's, you get 3 minutes of fire. Actually, we'll give you 2.5 minutes of fireworks towards the end. Yes, I hope you enjoyed the fireworks. It is something that is a Baldwinsville and Seneca River Day tradition. And also, I want to bring some note. There's some changes. If you weren't aware, Baldwinsville's Paper Mill Island schedule is different this year, in many ways. But the most important, let me just turn some lights on. The one major difference that we have this year is not many national acts, and there's going to be a lot more arts type of events going on, such as plays and smaller indie bands that aren't exactly what we've seen in the past couple of years. And the reason for that is the promoter, Creative Concerts, has pulled off. They have pulled their management. They're not managing, they're not promoting Paper Mill Island anymore, so they're not bringing those big acts that we were used to seeing over the last 5 or 6 or so years. And I've been reading a lot of complaints on Facebook because of this, but there was also noise complaints, and because the shows were going on until 10, 11 o'clock at night, and neighbors were complaining that the concerts were too loud. But now there are some concerts on the schedule. I mean, we just had one last night. I believe it was the Dirty Doves, an alternative rock band, played. And then we have some more. We have a 4th of July concert coming up. But really, it's more towards what we don't see. It's artists and bands that were not as prevalent, or at least they're not. Trying to think of the best word to describe this. Acts that are not as well known. Although we have comedy coming to the island on August 10th. We have a lot more. So there is entertainment. So the island will be put to good use this year. But I don't know what do you think about this? It is just I'm glad that they're actually using the island for something, because originally when this was built, oh, and yes, of course, now they're doing food trucks on Thursdays, and they're now doing food trucks and live music on Thursday nights. So at least I'm glad that they're putting the island to good use. But the number of people who are actually going to come to this, I'm sure the attendance is going to go down. It's probably going to go down some, and we'll see if they turn this around. My hope is that they get more artists or bigger bands to come and play, or at least keep the island in good use. They did a Shakespeare play, Hamlet, not too long ago, and they have the summer jazz program. So I know it's not what it used to be anymore, and originally the island was actually supposed to be used as a community event space, and was just turned into a concert venue. So we'll see how there's pretty much something every week. So I will give you I have the schedule right here pulled up, and I'll put the link for the full schedule on the chat. So at least the island's still being put to good use. That's all I care about. And at least they're doing something with it. Baldwinsville Center for the Arts actually stepped forward because originally there was going to be nothing. There were going to be no events planned for this summer's Paper Mill Island schedule, but then Baldwinsville Center for the Arts was the one who stepped forward and provided at least a schedule that puts the island to good use and is able to be used. It's a mix of community school events plus concerts and food trucks and music. So just be happy that we have something. And Paper Mill Island is going to be used. It's going to be used for something here. And speaking of music, we'll get back to it. Here is Taylor Swift with Is It Over Now coming up next. Put your thinking caps on, because we got a game, and this game will involve playing as individuals instead of a team. So, best of luck with that, and stay tuned. If you notice, the ending sounds a little bit like Clocks, the piano riff from Coldplay's Clocks. That's just my observation. Okay, it's time to play a little bit of trivia game. The rules are simple. Since everyone plays individually, and over the next 4 questions, you have to be, the object of the game is to be the last player standing to answer the final question to win. Because once you answer any question, if you answer a single question incorrectly, you are out. You are out of the game. Your game's over. You also get 3 different helps, or lifelines, if you will. The first one is you can pass or freeze. You can essentially freeze yourself out of the game for 1 question. You don't have to answer the question and you'll be safe. The second option is the save, whereas if you answer the question and you get it incorrectly, as long as you use the save, you're still in the game. And then the third one, which it's called Go with the Majority, where it's essentially, now this would apply more if there were more than 2 or 3 players, but you would automatically go with what the majority of the player pool selects. So I hope you got all that. If you didn't get any of that, need for me to repeat the rules and the instructions, please let me know. Since this is Father's Day, the questions are going to be tailored specifically to this family, and so these should be pretty easy. So if you're ready, we are going to begin with question number 1. And okay. Okay, so question number 1, and I'm also going to put it in the chat here. What is sport of all time? The question is, what is Dad's favorite sport of all time? You have 30 seconds to answer each question, or up to 30 seconds to answer each question, and each player is, so each of you is going to be answering individually. You're not playing as a team. So we're going to need 2 or 3 answers here. So was that? So we need another answer here, because you're playing as individual. I need a second answer here, because you're playing as individual players. You're not playing as a team. Okay, and obviously that is correct. Okay, question number 2, and then we're gonna take a music break. Okay. Name the states. Well, this is unfair. Let me just see. Along with the baseball theme, name two of the MLB baseball teams that Dad is a true fan of. I need the city and I need the name. Name 2 of the Major League Baseball teams that Dad is an absolute die-hard fan of. We can assume that he likes all of baseball, but if there were 2 specific Major League Baseball teams that he is that's the top, his top 2, name that, what would the top 2 be? San Francisco Giants. And what is the Do you know what the other one? And if you name a team that, I'm going to be objective here. So that's technically correct because I was going to say if you named only one of the two teams and not the other, then the entire answer would be incorrect. But that is the correct. I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to accept that as the correct answer. We're going to take a music break. It's a Forever Living classic hit coming up. Hard Knock. It's currently Hard Knock Life. If you want something else, I'll put it in really. I'll put it in really quick. Actually, we did this last night, so instead of Hard Knock Life, we're gonna do All the Small Things. We're gonna come back, and then we're gonna finish off the rest of the trivia game. Thank you very much for playing. Thank you very much. Yeah. So when the Phillies were in the World Series, or at least were in the I don't know if they made it all the way to the World Series, but they were in the playoffs last year. Dad was rooting for the. If you want to be sure, just next time you talk to him, ask. That's just what I remember from last year, and I don't really know exactly. I don't know if he's exactly a diehard fan, but he was rooting for the Phillies when they were in the playoffs Last year, that's what I remember. Oh yes, that's also true. You make a valid point there. It's also true because he knows baseball. Whoever's the better team, that does make sense. Yes, and I know that when different teams get into the playoffs each year, he tries to go for the better team. So that doesn't necessarily mean that he's a longtime fan. Again, next time you talk with him, ask him about that. I think I will, just to clarify. Because again, he's an expert on baseball and I'm not. So that's why I put that in there. Here we go to the next question. If you, this is more geared towards Rod than Rachel, but we'll see if you're able to get this. Give me a minute here while I type in the question. Questions in the chat. What Christmas gift does Rod enjoy giving Dad every year? And I'll give you bonus points if you can name the exact brand, and if you can throw in some of the flavor. And here's a hint: if you can throw in some of the flavors, I'll give you even more credit. Yes, that is correct. There's so many different flavors in there that it's hard to keep track of. Rod, where did that come from? So I'm curious, Rod. Where did that idea come from? And Costco. I guess that's where you get the jar. So I'm just curious, Rod. How did you come up with that idea? And why did you what went through your head to think that was that would be a suit? And I don't really sound like I'm questioning Rod's decisions. Oh, okay. Rachel, you told Rod Dad likes jelly beans and every time. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Sorry, I didn't really mean to question your decision here. I was just curious by all means. But that also makes sense. And the fourth one, sorry about that. Here comes the next question. Give me a minute while I write it in the chat, and then we will, and then you'll have a shot at answering. The questions in the chat. Name the three baptismal songs that Dad has given each of us, beginning with the oldest child. This is probably something only Rachel is going to know. We'll see if Rod knows this too. Actually, we'll take a break. We'll play some PSAs, and you can answer during the break. and then we'll reveal the answers when we come back. Time's up, I'm afraid. You were not able to come up with an answer on. Do you know this? I'm just curious. Do you actually know this? That is actually correct. That is correct. I'm Dona Nobis Pacem. Rachel is The Waters Wide, and Elizabeth is Lovely Child, Holy Child. Congratulations, you have won. You succeeded with this quiz. And we'll give one bonus question. Let's see. This is a perfect segue into the music. But here's one bonus question that is kind of appropriate. Name, what is the traveling song? So this is the bonus. This is the bonus final. Hold on. I'm gonna type. Let's see if you could name the title and the artist of the song that Dad always likes to begin or at least at one time used to begin road trips with. Coincidentally enough, that's the next song on the playlist. Enjoy. tribute to Dad on this Father's Day. Uh, this is what we would start with, going out on these road trips, which included uh, road trips all the way from coast to coast. At least two trips, three, from all the way from between California and New York State. Those were impressive. I can't believe the first trip that we took was all the way back in August of 2013. And that was an adventure for sure, I'd say. That was an adventure for sure, I'd say. First time that I think any of us had taken a cross-country road trip, and we had the idea of getting CDs, playing CDs, so that we'd have a variety of music. I remember Rachel, you telling me the idea is to create CDs of music that Dad would. Oh yes, first time it rained in Texas in 100 years. There's actually a story that I remember about that. So we get to Amarillo, Texas. We check into the hotel, and there's a Mexican restaurant next door. And just as we were getting seated, the rain comes in and it floods the entire restaurant. So we had to move from the table that we were originally going to sit at. And I couldn't believe this either. It flooded inside. It literally flooded inside the restaurant. The rain was so intense. And now this week, if you heard, we're going to get a heat wave. High temps in the 90s for most of next week. So we gotta stay cool. So, first time it rained in Texas, 100, unbelievable. Anyway, it's time for the moment that we've all been waiting for. It's the Bumper to Dump It segment. We got 4 great ones for you. One of them is off of the Tortured Poets Department, but we're going to begin with an artist named Chappell Roan. This song is rising on the charts, and it's called Good Luck Babe. I'm curious to know what you think of it. Bumper to Dump It, the voting begins now. I agree it's not one of the best, but it is on the charts, or at least it's making its way to being on the charts. It got the majority of dump votes last night from Elizabeth, Alex, and Laura. Up next, we have David Guetta doing it again with One Republic. This one got a lot of the majority of the bump votes, and you'll probably see why. This is I Don't Want to Wait. Voting begins now. David Guetta with One Republic. I Don't Want to Wait. You can see why the majority of listeners bumped this song last night. It has two good artists, David Guetta and David Guetta doing it again, and I'm also looking at the danceability of the song. Whether it's a hit, you want to look at the up if it's upbeat, has a good rhythm, has good melody, catchy hook, melody, lyrics, and it also is proven to be it holds musical water. So if it's a danceable song, then it's the bump. Speaking of danceability, we're gonna go now a little bit on the countryside. This is another big hit that's moving up the charts. This is Marshmello with Kane Brown with Miles on It. Please enjoy this one and cast your vote beginning now. And I'm glad that you have bumped this because it received a lot of dumps. It has received a lot of dumps. Yep, the chorus is very familiar. We were talking about a bar song, Tipsy, and yes, it does. The chorus does sample the first verse of the Jaquan song from back in 2004. So it is something that you've heard before. I'm glad that you bumped this because it received some dumps from Elizabeth and Alex, at least. Finally, we've saved the best for last. I know we're gonna. I said I was gonna tone down the Tortured Poets department, but this is kind of appropriate. There was a dog show on ESPN 2 yesterday. It's all about playing disc golf, and if you watched it, it was you would have been impressed by the tricks and the training that it went through. So to get those dogs to do what they did. So I figured it's appropriate as we continue the Taylor Swift train. This is The Black Dog from the Tortured Poets Department Anthology Edition, I believe. Let me know what you think. The voting begins now. Here we go. So I'm glad I picked this because it's one of the top three. Your other two are what exactly? I think the other one was So Long London, and then the other. Then you mentioned something else before. Oh, before I forget, congratulations on buying your new house. So it's in the East Rochester area. I have a question for you. When is move-in, or do you have an idea when move-in is going to be? And I'll be interested to see. It's an interesting choice how you chose the East Rochester area. I know you were looking for, I think, somewhere out that way. Last week of July. Okay, we'll put it on the planning. So I'd be more than welcome to help assist with the moving. I'm sure it's going to be a family effort, and let's just hope that maybe you can host some events out there. It'll be interesting. Be very interesting to look at the neighborhood. So at least what that means is, yes, you were looking all over, but really wanted to. Okay, stay on the east. So that's fair because the east side is really where I think that's where you want to be. Given my knowledge of the Rochester area, I think even the north or the western areas, they're a little bit sketchy, and yes, because it was under budget. Everything else was going way over. Well, I know and I haven't bought a house, but I do know that given which our experience, yes, 5 minutes from where you work, that's a big plus. I mean, you got it. Sounds like you got it for a reasonable price. It's the neighborhood that you wanted. And I'll tell you this much. It's much better than living in the city. No offense to living in the city, but I know you would, yes, 1 mile from Pittsford and the canal. That's pretty good. I know living in the city at 825 Harvard, we were very concerned about crime, and you would tell us to the schools. Oh, okay. Yes, and also there's a lot of crime. I won't forget. You asked us to take all of our valuable items out of the car overnight, and also planning for the future, having kids of your own. You want to have them in the best school district that the Rochester area can provide, and so this is all not just for about the present moment, but this is planning for the future and what this means moving forward. So, there's a lot of crime in any city, not just. Yes, that's also something you gotta look for. I'm looking forward to. I'm sure a lot of us are looking forward to helping with the move, and not only helping with the move, but also visiting this house, getting to know it, and getting to know the area. So, score for it sounds like it's a big score for all three of you, Rachel, Rod, and Raleigh, and any kids that you may have in the future. So we'll leave it on a good note. Thank you very much for tuning in. Mazel Tov. I'm signing off, and always stay forever living. I figured it's a nice fenced-in backyard. I'll be curious to look at it. Kind of appropriate for the weather that we're going to expect over the next week. I'm going to leave you with glass animals and heat waves. We'll see you next week. Thanks again for tuning in.